If you didn't know already from my previous videos, I am Malaysian. And being one of the many flavor of Asians, my people are known for a lot of many things. We're known for having 2 more extra twin towers than America does, being skipped over when any famous band says they're doing an all-Asia tour, losing 2 airplanes in the span of 4 months from each other, and my personal favorite, having an entire genre of white YouTubers acting surprised that your country has working plumbing and that you don't live in mud huts.
Stop! White women, stop!
But the one thing that pretty much all Asian societies share is the importance of community. And I know every culture says that they're community oriented because they want to brag like they're the ones that invented the damn concept, but in Asian societies, collectivism is a very huge deal. And I don't mean the red banner flies high, comrade type collectivism, but the type where your entire sense of self-worth depends on how much you didn't inconvenience anyone that day. The idea of maintaining the community peace over your own well-being is a huge driving factor in a lot of Asian cultures, especially East Asian cultures like Japan. Watch any videos about foreigners living in Japan and you'll learn just how much they value the ability for people to conform to the rules of their society. And you can actually see this somewhat in anime even. You know that trope where the MC defeats the big bad with the power of friendship? That's actually a good representation of how in Japanese narratives, the power comes from the group. It doesn't matter how much aura farming the MC does, victory is through unity and not the individual. You see this in anime like Fairy Tail, My Hero Academia, literally every sports anime ever. Even in individual-centric anime like power fantasy isekais, the super powerful MC always ends up helping the local community in some way. Remember kids, the real Sigma male grind set is the one that helps your local community. But this power from the collective also comes with a price. Because if the power comes from the group, individualistic actions that jeopardize the group are incredibly frowned upon. For example, one of Japan's most renowned authors and writers, Natsume Soseki, laments Japanese conformity in his writings. He says that art can only be made when created from an individualistic point of view, but it's hard to create said art and be an artist in a society that will isolate you when you express that individualism. So, I wanted to know just how right this point of view is, and how it's reflected in anime. We hear so much of Japan's terrible work-life balance, yet people on the ground are expected to just deal with it? And the answer is a lot more depressing than you think. So technically I've already talked about this in my high school video, which is by far the most viewed video on my channel. This video is on every form of steroids known to man and is single-handedly carrying my channel. Please go watch my other shit, people. So rather than talk about why Japan is obsessed with conformity, I'm gonna talk about the how. And one thread that we can follow is the idea of gaman. Gaman is essentially a form of Japanese stoicism that encourages people to persevere and endure. Since complaining, especially in a group setting, can affect a group's morale, a lot of Japanese people are encouraged to not complain since it's seen as a more noble thing to endure whatever is being thrown at you. And you actually do see this in a lot of anime. MCs working hard for their senpais or their mentors. They might chafe under the pressure and rules, but they learn to adapt and win in the name of them. Again, watch any sports or power fantasy anime. This is literally how the MC gets more powerful. It's like, this is for you, senpai. But like, little bro, senpai is working a dead-end corporate job right now. Senpai is very much not here. But while gaman in anime can be seen as this thing that toughens you up and strengthens your willpower, it can also be used to guilt trip you. It's very common for companies in Japan to do after-work gatherings at izakayas or bars called nomikai. This is done mainly to deepen relationships in the team and strengthen employee bonds in the company. And that sounds good, right? A team that gets shit-faced drunk together stays together. But the thing is, turning down an invitation to a nomikai is incredibly taboo. While going to a nomikai is completely voluntary, it's basically a hidden expectation to go. By not going to a nomikai, some bosses see this as a lack of commitment to the team and might even consider passing you over for a promotion because you don't seem to gel well with others. So rather than stand out and jeopardize the group dynamics, a lot of Japanese salarymen put on a brave face and persevere through a night of socializing and drinking when they might not have even wanted to go anyway. Which is how you get those iconic photos of Japanese salarymen blackout drunk sleeping on the train. As Toivonen et al. Says in their paper, quote, individuals are strongly motivated to adjust the self to the situation, to better maintain social harmony. and to affirm one's independence with others and not for themselves. And these nomikai extend late into the night sometimes, cutting into the already limited personal time that a lot of Japanese salarymen just don't have. But they can't complain, because complaining might disrupt the morale of the team. And if the team's morale is affected by your complaint, that's on you. So they silently endure. Gaman. But there is a silver lining though. Nomikai culture does seem to be drying up, especially since COVID, with a lot of younger Japanese workers confessing that they hate the idea of mandatory drinking. But while things are changing professionally, gaman still plays a huge part in Japan's social etiquette. I mean, this is the same culture where saying no is the worst thing that you can do. But in a world where patience is prized, visibility can feel like a mistake. So the thing is, even though East Asian and Southeast Asian culture have their major differences, we do share some things societally. I can't say the same about our cities though. Tokyo makes Kuala Lumpur look like a ghetto. I had to fight off a homeless person once walking through here. But the one thing that's prevalent across a lot of Asian cultures is the idea that you need to be seen but not heard, that you can't stand out too much. There's even a cultural saying in Japan about this, because of course there is. The nail that sticks out gets hammered down. It's the idea that it's better to keep your head down rather than stand out. Group harmony and unity is a really important thing in Asian societies, but by standing out, you might bring unwanted attention to your group and by extension, cause a lot of stress and unwanted pressure. So for the good of many, better for you to just conform and put your head down. And in Japan, they really want you to put your head down. In 2017, a girl actually sued her high school in Osaka Prefecture because they were forcing her to dye her naturally dark brown hair black. And for some reason, the school would do a self-report by admitting that they would even force foreign exchange students to dye their hair black for some reason. And while a lot of schools in Japan are actually reevaluating and changing some of their more archaic rules, there are some issues they aren't willing to budge on. Some schools still require students to submit younger photos of themselves to prove the natural color of their hair. And when asked why these schools aren't willing to change this, Yuji Tsunaga, a vice president of an anti-bullying nonprofit in Japan, said, quote, "Hair is one of the easiest ways to control and enforce proper student behavior. Many teachers are still worried that if they completely get rid of guidelines restricting students, they'll lose all control." I don't really know how a slightly dark brown ponytail will cause the complete upending of society, but hey man, what do I know? And the thing is, it's not even gender specific. These same schools have plenty of weird rules and regulations aimed towards male students. It's not about controlling any one gender, it's about making sure that these students conform to what Japanese society expects them to be. They listen to their bosses, they go through the same systems that everyone else will go through, all while not complaining and conforming to the rules at hand. And any nails that do stand out will be hammered down. And anime does show this a lot. Literally every isekai storyline starts with the MC disgruntled with where they are in life. They hate their job, they feel undervalued and stressed, they can't say anything because hierarchy and group harmony is important, so they suffer in silence. Next thing you know, they're transported to another world where only they have the most OP ability and they're the Giga Chad with a harem of women adoring them. Their individuality is affirmed in a system where they can be unique and the collective doesn't matter. They can be themselves at the cost of no one else. Because worse than standing out in Japan is you standing out and it affecting other people. I mean, there's even an isekai anime where a dude works for a demon king because he offers better benefits than his old company. Only the Japanese mind can comprehend going to a fantasy world and still choosing to work in an office. Now, I'm not here to tell you how to feel about Japan as a country, I'm only here to explore. Even my own country of Malaysia has its own cultural quirks. Over here, we have a concept called menjaga aimuku, where we're not allowed to call someone out, especially if that someone is older than you, on the chance that they might lose face amongst other people. Even if calling them out means that you protect them from a dumb decision they're making, or you just want to help them, if it makes things more awkward for them, you are highly discouraged from saying anything. And that's kind of why I made this video. It's easy to criticize Japan as a country where societally everything seems to be off, that they're emotionally repressed, overworked, and conformist to a fault. And while stereotypes are always based on a small amount of truths, really small, Japan isn't some strange outlier. it's just a more extreme version of something that you see across a lot of Asian societies. In a paper studying hikikomoris, or Japanese shut-ins, they found that a lot of tendencies associated with depression actually manifest in these shut-ins because they feel like they're going against what society wants them to be. That being a part of the collective is so ingrained in them that they start to genuinely feel sad if they feel like they aren't following the preset rules. Even at moments where they should be thinking about themselves, they are still worried about affecting the group. And that's what I mean by this video isn't about dunking on Japan. It's about understanding how culture can quietly teach us to suffer in silence. How the most effective cages are the ones we all share. That the most limiting thing are the self-imposed limits we choose for ourselves. Everything in Japan is done in the name of the greater good. Holding yourself back, holding what you say, speaking in turn, speaking when spoken to. You are one piece of many in the long road to harmony. You must do your part. You owe it to the people around you. It is the collective effort of everyone that has brought you here to continue the great work. That no cog can be more important than the other because everyone is contributing. And if everyone is contributing, then you don't have the right to make things more difficult. And while harmony is something that every culture should strive for, in a world where standing out means standing alone, maybe harmony isn't always peace.